Not all predatory animals directly attack their prey. Some animals can be cunning and deceitful, luring prey into a trap. When food becomes scarce in the forests, wild animals go to desperate measures to eat. What are they capable of? Can they really be smarter than a person? Today, we will tell you a story about how a cunning she-wolf managed to lure a person into her trap. Get comfortable, let's get started. This story took place in January in a small village in western Siberia. That winter turned out to be especially fierce. Many animals froze, but this was not what worried people the most, but the fact that the activity of wolves increased. They began to go out to people, not being afraid. Wolves attacked livestock, truly scaring the locals. To determine what drove the wolves and how to solve this problem, the people called in a wolf specialist from the city. A week later, a specialist in predatory animals arrived in the village. He was supposed to study the wolves' behavior and give his recommendations, but he himself almost became their prey. The locals greeted him quite cordially. They gave him a former forester's house, which was located on the outskirts of the village right on the edge of the forest. The house was small and very warm, so the guest was comfortable there. Plus, he was presented with several gifts, a double-barreled gun to defend against predators, and a large bag of tobacco. By local standards, it was a great gift, but they did not take into account the fact that the guest did not smoke. The man accepted the gifts with gratitude so as not to disappoint the locals. He also didn't know how to shoot, so he just hung the gun on the wall and threw the bag of tobacco into his backpack and then forgot about it. Right away, the specialist got to work studying the problem. He went all around the houses, studied the habits of the local wolves, followed their paths between houses, trying to determine from which side they came and where they went. Several days passed. At night, he heard a wolf howl very close to his home. This howl froze his blood, and he felt uneasy, knowing that these predatory animals were roaming so close to his house. That night, the man, as usual, sat up late checking his notes when he suddenly heard someone whining plaintively outside the window. Judging by the sound, it was most likely either a small puppy or a kitten. The man felt sorry for the baby because wolves could come running to its voice and eat it. He was determined to save the baby. Grabbing his backpack and a flashlight, the man ran out of the house into the darkness and went towards the sounds of the squeaking animal. When he came closer to the place from which the sound was heard, he was dumbfounded with horror. A huge she-wolf stared straight at him with huge green eyes. It was she who made these plaintive sounds, thereby luring the man into a deadly trap. He wanted to go back, but he saw that wolves surrounded him from all sides, ready to attack at any moment. Realizing that this was the end, the man took off his backpack and began to look through it, not knowing what he was searching for. At that moment, he very much regretted that he did not take the gun with him, but left it hanging on the wall in the house. Although he did not know how to shoot at a target, he could have at least shot into the air, scaring the wolves and attracting the attention of people. But he didn't have the gun, and he looked helplessly around. Then his hand found a bag in the backpack. Without realizing what it was, the man quickly pulled it out and began to empty the contents at the wild animals. In the next second, he heard the wolves snorting and sneezing. It was the bag of tobacco, which now temporarily disoriented the wolves. Taking advantage of this, the man ran as fast as he could back to his house. Behind him, he heard the wolves sneezing, but never stopping, he managed to run to his dwelling, get inside, and close the door behind him with all the bolts. Only then, having fallen to the floor exhausted, did he realize the danger he had just escaped from. He realized how reckless it was of him to leave the house at night alone without weapons, but he could not even imagine that this would be a trap set for him by a smart she-wolf. The whole next day, the man did not leave his home. He still hadn't recovered from the horror experience the night before. He drew many conclusions for himself that night. First, never compromise your own safety. Even saving another life, you need to take care that there are no other victims. Secondly, he made a great discovery for himself that a pack of wolves can be led by a she-wolf, and not just an average wolf, but a very smart and cunning one, capable of making plans to attract a victim. After that, he became more attentive to his work. Now he paid more attention to details, and in the end, he managed to catch this she-wolf. And after she was caught, the wolf pack left, and the village became calm again. Such an amazing story happened to our hero, friends, but have you ever heard such stories when wild animals lured people into their traps? Please share your stories in the comments.